Welcome to this video where I show you all the ways that we're using AI in our company. And to be transparent, I wanted to film this intro before to kind of explain the situation here, because this is actually a call recording that I hosted for our team. We have about 100 team members at 4Media Marketing, which is our company. We do digital marketing. And I basically explained all the ways that our team should be using AI in their day-to-day work. And all the cool things that they can do. And every single month, I'm going to be doing one of these. But the crazy part is about 40 different people messaged me throughout the week and showed me how they used AI, exactly the stuff that I taught in this presentation, to save 5 to 10 hours of their total work week in work effort, and being able to just delegate that to AI. And I'm sure as we go on and do more of these team coaching calls, you're going to see all the ways that you could probably save 40 hours a week by using AI. And the hardest thing possible that you're going to have to do is figure out what you're going to do with an additional 40 hours a week worth of time. This is amazing. This is bigger than the internet. I guarantee it. And it is our responsibility as CEOs to indoctrinate our team and to teach them everything possible about AI, so that in my case, I could have 100 people using AI instead of just keeping all that information to myself. So I hope you use this, but I hope you not only use this, but you teach people on your team. If you have a team, to use this, you show your friends how to use this. This is going to be the most valuable piece of information and tool that you can use over the next 5 to 10 years. And I hope you get a lot out of this presentation. Enjoy. AI is pretty big, and it's affecting a lot of companies in a positive way financially, in a negative way in regards to growth of team size. As you guys know, we have aggressive goals to grow as a company. We're not a really big, 10,000 person company that's trying to let go and shave, but we're also in a position where, like we've already talked about, we've overhired. So we need to be able to utilize the team that we have now to be able to do more before we start keeping up the pace of growth of hiring that we continue to do. And I feel like AI is probably the best way possible to do that right now as a resource. A lot of you guys know a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you today already, but the reality is, as I've audited some things in the company, most people are not using AI to its benefit in any way, shape, or form. Even like 30 minutes a day is not being put in, and those 30 minutes would probably save you 4 hours in your daytime if you found ways to utilize AI. So we've been playing around with it for a little bit, and I wanted to just go over some basic things that I think are important for you guys to use in your daily workflows, and maybe things that you probably didn't know, and also talk about the potential of what the future of AI looks like as well. Some things that we can look forward to as a team, things that we're trying to implement as a company as well at a higher level for everyone. So super excited to get this going. And at the end, I know there's a lot of you guys who are toying around with different things on AI as well. I'm going to leave an open floor where, based on whoever put it in the chat first, we'll basically go around and give everyone like a minute to talk about something that they're doing in AI that's benefiting them in the workplace, in personal life, in any aspect of your life. And I probably imagine that every 30 to 60 days, we're probably going to have a call similar to this where we're discussing new ways that we can use AI, because I have a feeling every month, every 2 months, this is going to change faster than anything we've ever seen in our entire life, anything in history ever. Imagine how fast the iPhone progressed in like a 10-year period, how fast the internet progressed. This is going to be like 100, 1000x, maybe 10,000x faster. So we're going to try to stay pretty updated on this as a team overall. So first of all, can I get a 5 if you have heard of GBT, and 0 if you have not, just so I have an idea of who knows what. Nice. Okay, cool. So let me cover some basic stuff real quick on ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you how we are using it. So for those that don't know, basically AI is a self-learning being. It's literally the Terminator, but just on a computer in the brain, where you can use it and access it. It learns by itself. It adapts. ChatGPT is a software that is plugged on top of it. Here's an account that I just made last night to test around some new stuff for you guys. So basically what you can do is you can talk to this thing like a robot. So, hello, how can I help you? I tell it something, it responds back, and we go back and forth. So for those that put zeros, that's essentially what it is. Cool. So first thing you can do with this is broad requests. This is probably what most of you guys are doing. This is an e-commerce brand selling cosmetic products for young women so that they do not age. I want to write a few headlines to use an Instagram ad so that I can attract their attention. Could you give me 10 detailed headlines? And then this thing gives you 10 headlines, and then you say, is it funnier, whatever the case is, and you guys are going back and forth with it. This is at least most of the things that I'm seeing from people. Another thing you can do, stacking on top of that, is basically keyword assumptions. I basically feed it, this is the demographic that I'm talking to. This is what I'm selling. Could you give me the 20 most relevant keywords according to this? It'll tell you I can't access the internet, etc., which I'll show you at the end how you can overcome. But these are simple ways that you can do things that are going to become more advanced very quickly. So while we may not have the full capability today, I wouldn't be surprised if in a month, these platforms, due to another software that AI is creating, will be able to access other softwares on our computer, like Google Ads for keywords, like Facebook Ads for live audiences, and be able to search these things for you. So it's important to start thinking from now, what are the things throughout my day that I can tell someone else to do that would take me 30 minutes, that could take them 1 minute, and starting to find these pockets inside of your workflow every single day. So another thing I've done to improve inputs that come back to me. So an example here is I ask them for headlines, right? We'll come back, we'll say those aren't funny enough, make them funny, make them witty or whatever. But I use 2 keywords here that are super important. I use the word clickbaity, which gives me a lot better marketing headlines overall. That just one keyword, asking for it to refine it as clickbaity, has changed everything for me. And then putting them in a chart. This is something that I don't see a lot of people doing. Instead of just getting answers, ask ChatGPT to put it in a chart for you and chart it out so that you can start adding lines to your chart and then export the entire thing at the end. So I'll give you an example here. I said, put them in a chart. And then over here, I said, give me a second column with funnier headlines of the same ones in the first column of the chart. And I can keep stacking these headlines over and over. I can even change the demographic and say, instead of women, give me another set of them for men. And so you can start playing with a lot of different angles and variations in one chart, as opposed to like doing them one at a time, copying and pasting them. And then you can just export this entire chart for yourself. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Yep. Excel export is actually insane. Yep. Cool. Awesome. I see a bunch of emojis. This is a new thing for Google Meet, so I don't know if I like it. Cool. Another thing that you can do from an e-commerce standpoint, which I have found probably one of the most valuable features for us, is just literally copying, pasting an actual product, and it pulls all the information from that page itself. And then you can basically go and ask it to start writing emails about that product, changing the product description, etc. But being very particular about your tasks. So even like on the email side, on the landing page side, we need to start understanding, instead of maybe everything we need to write, how long an ideal product description is, and being very clear and descriptive to the AI and telling it, I need 150 words or I need 400 characters. And that completely changes how it frames something. If you just tell it to do it, it's going to do it to a certain extent. But if you tell it to do it within certain parameters and bounds, I think that is where you start seeing the most out of the software. So just being very exact and specific, something that we've already pushed for us to be doing on the ClickUp side. This is something that we should be doing in the ChatGPT side as well. This is something that's super important as well. And then I'll get into how I'm training it essentially to do it for specific clients. But basically you give it a specific audience as well to target. So again, if you've noticed, everything I've talked about so far is just being more specific and specific and specific. And you can do this all in your initial message. So in your initial message, you could say, here's the product. I need you to write me a 200 character description. I'm targeting females who are 30 to 55 who have kids and, live in a home and don't work a job, for example. This is a sale that we have going on, and being as specific as possible all the way down is going to give you the best results. So here's where I think we benefit a lot from it as a company. Basically training your chat separately for each client. So I'm going to give you an example here instead of me screenshots, because I put these screenshots just in case ChatGPT was down. So basically, here's a brand new chat that I started. I did this last night just as an example here for today. I call the EcoKind client profile. This is one of our clients, and here is their website. Just for everyone that doesn't have a perspective of what they do, they basically have tablets. Instead of buying the soap, it saves shipping and it's better for the environment. And they put them in these bottles at home, and then you just put water on them, and then you have all the sprays and cleaning things that you need. So How can I help you today? Everything we will discuss about everything we discuss will be about the following brand. So I'm telling you, everything we ever talk about will be about this. That is it. This is the only thing we're allowed to talk about in here, and I will just keep giving you more stuff. Understood? What would you like to know? I want you to tell me everything you can about the company, and I will also give you more information. So like from the get-go, I'm just priming this thing from the beginning. This is the walls that we stay in. We don't talk about other things. We don't talk about other events. This is what it is. Here are their company values. Save for context. This is a very important keyword. This is basically telling it to save it. AI itself doesn't necessarily save stuff, is what it tells you back. But if you say save for context, it allows it to think like I'm saving this for the future of this conversation itself. I'm not saving it as memory in a way. Thank you for the additional information. It talks back. I say that is correct. Anytime we want to write something for this brand, we need to use the following brand voice and tone: modern, minimalist, creative, helpful. And then it'll repeat it back to me just to make sure we're on the same page. Then I'll say key phrases include eco-friendly, zero waste foaming, hand soap tablets. Okay, I'm pulling these from their onboarding form is essentially what I'm doing. So if I upload too much text at the same time, I've noticed it kind of skews it a little bit. So I'm taking basically blocks of the onboarding doc. I'm submitting them in here and telling it piece by piece how I want it to break down. Correct. Save for context. Understood. I've saved the information. Here's the audience we're trying to speak to: homeowners or moms that want to switch to eco-friendly cleaning products. They want to have a clean and organized home. They love the aesthetics, modern, minimalist of our own products. Cool. Here are the main problems that the brand solves. Using this, most cleaning products are packaged. So I'm talking, again, deeper and deeper and deeper, not just like, here's the product page. Here's what we're solving in the marketplace. Here's the people that we're talking to. Being very clear and specific. Using the information I've given you, can you give me 5 detailed advertising headlines using 5 different angles for a total of 25 that I could use on social media to get clicks for my ideal customer? Please keep them below 40 characters. Again, another wall. I know in a Facebook ad, likely on mobile, it's not going to fit more than 40 characters. So that is the absolute max I'm going to tell this thing to give me in the first place. Why am I going to let it write all these long headlines if I'm trying to use it for an ad that it's not going to fit in any way? On Google, the character limit is 30, for example. Like, just playing within the lines that you're trying to post it in is going to be invaluable for you. And I can't think of, as a media buyer, for example, how many times I used to sit there trying to run an ad and trying to rewrite a headline to make it fit inside of the frame that it's supposed to fit in. This is a very easy way to do that. And then later on, I'm going to show you a cool plugin that you can attach in your Google Chrome you just right click on anything on the internet and it'll give you like 10 variations of rewriting that sentence. So being able to use tools like this and giving it the clear framework is going to help you guys a lot. Does this make sense? Give me like a yes if this makes sense. Is this helpful? If this is not helpful at all so far and it's all super boring stuff that you already know, totally cool. We got some more stuff later, I promise. Cool. Awesome. Cool. So this thing gave me 5 different angles. Angle 1, emphasizing eco-friendly aspect. Angle 2, highlighting the convenience of the product. Angle 3, emphasizing the benefits for health. Angle 4, focusing on the aesthetic appeal. Angle 5, effectiveness of the product itself. And it wrote me 5 different headlights for each one. So then I took this. Okay, so I wanted to try to do this a different way. But essentially what the Amazon team is doing right now is they're using a tool called Helium 10. They're going to Amazon. So I'll take this as an example. I was trying to see if ChatGPT could pull this for me directly, but it couldn't. But essentially, we're going to the all reviews page on Amazon, and then you can use the Helium 10 plugin. So just a plugin that the Amazon team uses. Helium 10 is what it's called. And you guys can click on it and export all the reviews on here. You can upload them to ChatGPT and say, here's a competitor's product, or here is our product. Please tell me the top 5 reasons people use it and the top 5 reasons people dislike using it. And it'll break down for you all the custom research that you need across the entire board. Let's see, Steven. We had a lot of luck using this prompt, right? 10 headlines.
Just ignore me. I'm dropping headline stuff.
I got you. This is sick. So what I imagine after this call is we start creating like a company-wide document where we're all inputting things into it like this. And essentially we're refining it down. Eventually we'll have 50 pages, 100 pages of how to prompt AI, all the best things to do, etc. And I think it'll be one of the most valuable resources we could possibly have. Great shit, Steven. So cool. I pretty much went over the next few slides live. Cool. So this is something else that works really well too. is you could just copy the listing of the brand itself if you don't want to go into reviews and say, give me 5 bullet points and a product description for an Amazon listing selling this brand. Sorry, not without using the link, just everything that we've talked about at this point in the eco client profile. And then it'll basically give bullet points. I basically took it to 10 more popular YouTube channels about eco-friendly living and sustainability. It went and pulled 10. Here's 10 more. So instead of me going around and searching sometimes, it's easier also to pull across and see what other resources I have to target if I'm targeting on YouTube, for example. And then here's a sample listing that it made, bullet points, title, product description. Again, you guys get the point at this point. But the main key here is making each chat per client and feeding it all the data and only talking to that chat when you're talking about that client and never mixing them up will allow you to be more vertical, which I think is where AI is the strongest. On a surface level, everyone's doing the same thing. But when you get it to learn about one thing really, really deep, and that's all it talks about, that's all it knows, that's when we can start benefiting it on a grand scheme of things and save a lot of copywriting time and have a lot more output. So cool. Other thing you can do, I'm sure you guys are doing this already, but I'll take like 10-page articles of like yesterday, Microsoft had an event about AI. I basically just copied all the text. I pasted it in ChatGPT. I said, summarize this thing in 10 bullet points. It gave me the 10 bullet points. So I'll show you later how the same exact tool is being used to rewrite Slack messages, to rewrite emails and things like that. So your life becomes easier on that way as well. AdCreative.ai is also a cool tool I imagine we'll start using as it becomes better. Let me kind of show you guys how it works. I use Google to log in. Let's see. Cool. So here's an example we made for EcoKind as well. This is a very bad example, but it's just because I don't want to spend the time building the entire resource out overall, but you guys will get the point from this. Let me make one from scratch so that you understand what gets uploaded, and I'll show you what we made for EcoKind. But essentially, you'll put the brand name, kind of like the chat idea we're talking about in ChatGPT. You're going to build brands separately inside of AdCreative AI. Is probably where we're going to end up going with like a shared login. And essentially, we'll put the brand name, the brand logo, all the main colors of the brand, a description of the brand, what kind of brand it is. On the next page, it'll ask us more information. We can connect our Facebook ads and our Google ads account directly in here so that all the creatives get imported right into the ads manager in a second. You can put different alternative logos, but essentially, and this is a really bad version, but I basically went and I uploaded like a bad EcoKind cleaning logo. I took an image of a kitchen from the internet, just a random ugly kitchen, just to prove the point, and I told it to make story-based headlines, story-based everything, and basically this is what it came up with. Dozens of variations of headlines and of the specific headline subheadline combo with that photo in a million different variations. Obviously, it's not the most amazing thing because I cut this up in like literally 20 seconds yesterday. But the point is, as we build certain brands deeper on here and we put in their colors and we start helping it understand what kind of photos we like in it, etc., it will start to generate more creatives that are similar. We can input winning creatives into here and have it create different graphic alternatives of the winning creatives that are winning on our ads. So this is where I see this going for us as well. This is definitely a tool that I see us using pretty quickly. So just something cool to keep in mind as well. Cool. ChatGBT Writer Chrome extension to write responses. This is sick. So let me see which one it is. This is web ChatGPT. Is this it? Boom. You guys can see this on my screen. Just give me like a 1 just to make sure we're on the same page. Cool. Awesome. Nicola did not listen at all. Gave me a thumbs up. Thank you. Cool. So message content. So you can basically take any Slack message, any email, etc., paste in here. I'm not going to do it right now because I just don't have the time for that right now. You guys get the point. You'll basically paste it in here. And then over here, you'll say, write me a professional response saying we no longer want to do business together, whatever. You can write whatever you want. You can say, be funny, be witty. Here's what I want. And it'll type you a pristine email. I compared it to email responses I had in the past, and it was pretty damn close and most of the time better than what I wrote as well. So as long as you're specific about the tone, I want it to be professional, but also funny at the same time. You'll be able to put these things in here and be able to get responses. So I imagine you guys using this in Slack, for example. It's just a plugin on your Chrome, so it's super easy. You copy a giant message from the client, you paste it in here, and you say, what is the best, respond to this the best way possible so that I get this point across, period. And then it'll write a response that gets that point across in the manner that you wanted them to. Not only will it write it faster than you for sure, but most of the time it writes it better, guys, is the honest reality of the situation. So we just need to accept that and utilize these things instead of sitting there. I know sometimes I get a Slack message or an email and it takes me like 10 minutes to rewrite an answer because I'm like, oh, was that too rude? Was that this? Oh, maybe this will come off this way. And it's like a very tight situation that I'm dealing with. Using this great tool to get you like 95% of the way there, and then you tweak at the end. And it's free for everyone. It's literally right here as a Chrome extension. So if you just search up GBT Writer, Chrome extension, you can just add it to your computer. This is an ideal situation of what it looks like. So I had a glance at your profile. This is someone literally interviewing. Generate a reply to this email that I'm interested. Ask about salary and remote work options. And this thing, thank you for considering me for this position. Opportunity at Amazon ads. I'm definitely interested in learning more. It's so perfect. Is there room to negotiate salary? Like all these things went down the list in this email. So something pretty cool to consider. You can also use other people's best prompts. So there's forums online that are basically stacking everyone's best prompts to figure out how they're asking for certain things. I imagine this will probably help you out with your personal life more at the beginning, and then eventually it will become more professional as more people use it for professional use cases as well. But it's called Flow GPT. You can find this online anywhere. Just type in Flow GPT and it'll take you there. But basically, they've categorized prompts like people who want to start up a software company. What are people asking to get there? What are people asking to write the perfect resume? So this is a pretty cool resource for us to use as this grows. And then here's another cool one too. ChatGPT Prompt Genius. So am I moving too fast, by the way, or are we good? I feel like any slower is too slow. Yeah, we're good. Jean-Claude has raised his hand. What's up?
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. So another plugin we can use is ChatGPT Prompt Genius. This one's sick. Basically what it does is it'll save prompts for you permanently. So let's just say there's a specific prompt that you always use all the time. I ask it for 5 headlines for 5 whatever. I ask it to make a chart with funny ones. You make the biggest possible one you want and it works really well for you. You can come in here and just save it. And forever, anytime you want, you can just click this plugin. It'll open this page of all your prompts. Let's just say I click one. Oops. Of course, it's not working today. Oh, here. Boom. It'll go here. It'll enter the prompt itself. All I have to do is hit enter, and then it's in there. So this is pretty cool because you can save all the things that, like, we're not going to remember all these things until we SOP them out in documents, and each person individually, right? You guys are going to have situations where you're like, man, that was really good. Let me just save it in here. I imagine in the future, if not already, this prompt saving is going to be shareable, where we can all combine all our prompts into one big main folder, for example. And at the worst case, we'll be able to pull them from here. So if you guys are using these, if you are creating good prompts, get this plugin, ChatGPT Prompt Genius. It's free, and start saving your prompts in here that are really good. And I think eventually we'll be able to collaborate all together on here. It'll be pretty cool. And then it has a connection to a normal Reddit forum where there's a bunch of other really cool prompts that other people are using as well. But that's not the main purpose of this. Cool. This is probably one of the sickest ones on the internet. Let's say I go here. This is a plugin called WordTune. Okay. It's paid after a certain point. Like, you get a limit every month of how many rewrites you can get. I imagine this is probably one of the most valuable tools that we're going to have. Let's just say I go to the website. I take this sentence and why is it not? Well, Of course, I did this on another computer last night. But essentially what's going to happen here, let's see if I have it in here, is you can basically highlight any text, click the plugin itself, and it'll give you different variations of that same text. So this is going to be really cool when you guys are trying to create different variations of a certain headline, hire properly side, different variations of what the job title even is. You can get really creative and see if different job titles for the same job are attracting better people for that position. For example, just from rewriting what the job title is. Same for split testing ads on the Amazon side, split testing the actual listing name, for example. So there's a lot of cool things I think that we'll be able to do from just creating variations like this. I think it's going to be really powerful. Mock images that are copyright free. I'm not going to show you guys this because I think it's a little too premature right now, but I'm sure you've seen all the AI images that everyone's making. AI is literally just writing images from scratch. You tell it, give me a pony with this, etc., and it creates its own image. But here's something that you could do that's cool. Check this out. Let's just say I go to Google and I say, someone give me something that they would just go to find on Google to like create a graphic. Like any ideas here? I can go back to my idea if no one's gonna help. Kitchen set. It's too late, peeps. Sorry. Okay, kitchen set. Let's just say here, kitchen. I can right click on this. Check this out. Click revisualize image. And I'll tell you what this tool is called in a second. Boom. So Synthesis, it's a plugin from Google Chrome. You can download this for free, and it will generate AI generated images similar to that image. And I can keep shuffling them that are 100% copyright free, that are 100% not owned by anyone else and are allowed to run as ads. So you can imagine I go in here and I, auto side, R wrap shop, and I can go in here and find another car wrap shop. Let's take an example here. And then I'll say revisualize this image, and it'll make me a copyright free version of this photo. Sometimes it takes a few shuffles to get there, but imagine taking this, putting it in ad creative AI that we talked about earlier, and now you have the entire ad from start to finish. Look at this. These are images that you're allowed to use on the internet as ads legally, run ad spend behind them, fully copyright free. They're owned by you just by right clicking on any image on the internet. So I think this is a massively underutilized tool so far. I haven't heard many people talking about it, but I can imagine split testing ads. You right click the image that's winning and you make different variations of it and you run it as an ad. I can imagine how sick that's going to be. So I think that's something cool that's going to start progressing in a strong direction as well. So Synthesis X. This is really cool. This is for the ads team, for the UGC team, for the content team. Anyone can utilize this, but you can create voiceovers on a very, very high level. It's called 11 Labs. Right now it's paid to do the serious stuff in it, but you can record your own voice. You can upload a video of your own voice. You could upload a Drake song. You could upload Wiz Khalifa talking on an interview for 5 minutes, and it'll pull that audio. It'll learn that voice, and then you can type whatever you want, and it'll say in that person's voice exactly like them. You couldn't even tell. Like I had a friend yesterday on his story. He was talking to the camera, and then he stopped talking, and he was still talking, and it was the AI reading it the whole time, and it wasn't him talking. And I know him very well, and I thought 100% it was him talking the whole time. So you can start doing this for voiceovers. For example, if we have, I imagine we have like certain voiceover people that kill it. Let's say Andrew, for example, is really good at voiceovers. We can upload Andrew's voice into here. We can have it learn Andrew's voice. And then anytime we want a voiceover with Andrew in it, we can type it in there. Anytime we want a voiceover with Eddie in it, we could type it in there. And now instead, I imagine once we do like, if you're doing VSLs or like any sort of presentation online where you're sending people to a presentation to learn something, even a YouTube video, you could just take the slides, record the slides over the person who's talking that's fake, but it's Eddie or it's Andrew, for example, as if they're teaching the presentation with a voiceover, even though it's just slides on the screen, as long as you just type it in itself. So this is going to go so far into saving us dozens of hours a week. As a company, hundreds of hours a week, I imagine, as we are able to make more content for ourselves, for our clients, to test more things in ads using voiceovers, to take the same TikTok ad that someone's making with a voiceover and put 4 or 5 different voices in here and just have it run that same voiceover with 5 different tones and see which tone wins the most for that audience could even go so far. So just a couple cool things I think that are starting to happen in the AI world. That's crazy. This is going to be huge for content and ads team. You can create studio quality images of any physical product in seconds. It's called Mocker.ai. I haven't like fully used it yet, but the things that I've seen on it are insane. I imagine the next 30 days, it's going to be something I utilize pretty regularly with a content team. Yeah, Skylar, it's pretty crazy. Mocker.ai, basically what you can do is you can take a product image. So let's just say a client can't ship us a product for whatever reason. We're not going to be able to do a content package to get photos of this client for e-commerce because they're located in whatever, Japan, and they don't want to ship it. We can take the renderings of the products and it will create hundreds of different environments that you can put that product in that doesn't feel like it's like you manually putting it in on Photoshop. Obviously in Photoshop you could do it and you could refine and you can get really, but you're going to do one photo. Here in 1 second, you're going to put it in 150 different environments, backgrounds, situations around your consumer rather than going and doing a whole day photo shoot. In a matter of a minute, you can have that product across hundreds of different variations and really avoid the bottleneck it is sometimes to get the photography of the product from the client or even from our own team, right? So this is something I imagine that we're going to start going crazy on as well. Just want to show you guys kind of the potential here of tools I think we're going to end up using as a company and what they look like. This is really cool for web team. Not really for web team, probably for people that aren't on web team to be able to do something. This is super premature, but I'm going to give you an idea here. This is a site called Durable that basically lets you can build a website in a second, basically. So I go here, I'll say digital marketing. I'll say, this is Core Media Marketing is the name. We're based in Alpharetta. And it'll give you a general pretty good idea. If you are like an old person trying to build a website, this would be a pretty good gap to where you actually have a website built. It has a form on it, it has everything, and then once it's done writing the about paragraph, all this stuff, you can basically edit everything on there as well. You can ask it to change things and it'll essentially end up getting you across the finish line of a pretty decent website. But you can see here, call to action, a good descriptive service of what a digital marketing agency is, a review, SEO, pay-per-click, social media marketing, a contact field. I mean, shit, this took like 30 seconds. You know what I mean? So this is amazing. I can imagine this is going to go down a crazy rabbit hole where we feed a website, a client product page, and in a second, it gives us 5 to 10 variations of what that product page is that we could split test for the client without ever having to think about it and understand which split tests are winning and feeding them back into them to make us more variations and continually improving the conversion rate of a page. I think is going to be freaking insane in the future. This is like day one. You know what I mean? So I can imagine once we start exploring that, what it's going to be. Future updates, a couple things besides the softwares that we talked about, things that we're exploring doing. Christian's definitely taking a pretty big charge on this as well. Number one, Slack integration so that you can speak to it in Slack channel directly. So likely we're going to tie it to an emoji. Let's just say it's a robot emoji, for example's sake. Anytime you use the robot emoji and type something, it'll send it to ChatGPT. It'll reply back to you in Slack so that you guys can start playing around with it directly in your DMs, playing around with it, for example, probably in internal channels where you guys are trying to find headlines for a client. You send it in there, boom, in the internal channel, it comes back. Another way to do it, which I imagine is probably another really good use case, is ClickUp itself. So let's just say I used the emoji in ClickUp, or I use a different prompt in ClickUp on a task where I was supposed to like split test landing page headlines. I could do it in there, put that. It would send it to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT would comment back in the task with the answer immediately, as opposed to me running circles. So now, in the morning, you do your daily 5, you write them down, you go inside of those, you're basically talking to the AI in there. You're getting the task 80% of the way there, thinking wise, where you can get it across the finish line a lot faster, as opposed to spending 2/3 of your day getting it there, and then the last third of your day like trying to wrap it up in time. You can now get it there immediately and have more time to refine those finer percentage points. So I think that's something cool that's going to be there. And then sometime this week, we'll have a new form pinned to the general channel that'll allow you to submit new use cases of AI. And we will start compiling these things together into one big SOP doc for us to all contribute to and be able to have shared publicly for the company. So the more that we all contribute to this, there's no dumb idea, guys. Keep contributing to them. Please, the more the merrier. The faster we are on this, the better you'll be able to use your time here at work, the less stress you'll have, the more we'll all be able to make. Also, in your own personal life, I'm sure there's going to be a million ways that we utilize this for our own personal lives as well, to make our lives easier, our relationships better. There's just so much possibility here. We're just scratching the surface at the end of the day. So I'm excited to see where this goes. But that's pretty much the main things I wanted to share, just to kind of get people thinking a different way. Start using these things, please. Don't just like watch this presentation. I promise you, the people who use these in the company will become the most valuable people in the company, because they're able to do 10 people's worth of work as one person with less stress than one person would have even had doing one person's worth of work. So we'll all be happier. We'll all be more productive. Please don't like wait to do this. Explore this as much as possible, and hopefully we'll have more updates moving forward as well. With that, I will leave it open for discussion. Steven, you've talked a lot, so I'll let you go first, and then anyone that wants to put other stuff in the chat, I'll just call you guys one at a time, just to make sure that we can see other ideas that people are using these for.
Yeah, Christian and I have been jamming on this hard. Christian is trying to make this thing run its life. But my first thing, where is Christian anyway? But my first thing was just like, when I saw the Zapier integration available, like that light bulb for me is that like the whole idea behind this is to get ChatGPT AI to do things without us even thinking about it, or just like feed multiple prompts in. So one, the quality of your prompts is like we're going to have a job next year for sure, and it's going to be senior prop writer. Like without a doubt, they're going to be under the COO, and they're going to be writing prompts. They're going to be automating this shit all day long. But on that last slide at 827, the first thing on the board there was integrating this into a Slack channel. One of the downsides about GPT is that there is no collaboration in the individual chat itself. Meaning that, like, if you are sitting there going through, trying to decide this versus that, yes versus no, like, are we getting closer or further away from the objective? There's nothing in there that actually indicate, like, from a team perspective, like whether you're doing that or not. And so the first thing that we did is we integrated this into our Slack channel, where first things first is you have to have your prompts defined, meaning that, like, I met with all the copywriters. They went to like an AI boot camp thing, learned from all the other guys that are doing this heavy duty, and we have a 30 prompt series, right, that will eventually kick out of VSO. We started with each prompt there. Right, the prompt is very specific to the first one I dropped earlier in the chat. Right, you can see how it gives them a word bank of logic. I mean, like, provided that you are anchored in this idea of these words, right, and it listed all these negative emotions, right. Provided you work off that word bank, answer this question for me based on pain points, whatever. And so you saw, right, like, don't get me wrong, this shit will be writing headlines, but like between our copywriters, there's still a very clear night and day difference between like the good stuff. And so we are trying to feed this copywriter logic in that, like, going after pain points. Why are they not doing this? The real emotional aspects as to why customers do not buy or do the things that we want them to do. And so that's why we feed it that negative word bank. But long story short, we have that prompt defined, right? So we all agreed that the prompt got as good as it can be, right? And that there's no other variations that are really needed to that. Once we have that defined, we assign it to an emoji within our Slack channel. And then we feed that prompt within Slack. And Eddie, I'm just going to pull up the screenshot thing that I sent you so I can explain this to you guys.
Yeah.
But we feed that prompt in there, and we assign an emoji. So now that we all understand what the prompt variables are, in that it's like you need to enter X, Y, and Z, right? I need a product name, a pain point, and maybe a time duration or whatever, right? Then once you enter in only those variables and you hit the emoji, are selected, we have the Black Form Media one for ours. Then from there, you go, it will actually fire the automation for you. for prompts that are multiple steps, you can have a Zap that will fire all 5 steps in one instance. And so while before you had to click and copy and paste within GTP itself, this will actually run the whole sequence. And so we build like what we call like prompt stories, where the outcome on Slack is the completed product. Then from there, obviously the entire team is able to see. And then you guys can go in and vote accordingly, check marks, whatever, saying like, this is the one we want to use. And this is the
Well,
one
let me clarify, Steven. So what you're saying by the story part is it'll upload, for example, the Zap sequence will fire 5 prompts. So prompt 1, example here, give me 5 headlines. Prompt 2, make them funnier. Prompt 3, make me a second one for women, not for men, etc. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And ours goes even a little bit further, where we like, very important to keep those like clients thread specific, because we have it like create a persona of a person with this problem. And I wrote one with like foot pain, right? Like you guys have lots of products, whatever, between direct to consumer, but like imagine all of the headlines that are related to foot pain. And so we had it like create this persona of a person, right? Give me all the negative emotions behind foot pain. And it was talking like the embarrassment of limping in the store and like not going out with friends because you couldn't walk down the street. And you're like, holy shit, this is stuff that I would never thought of, right? And so now it's like that. And then it asks us all the negative emotions to sign from like, or all the emotional roadblocks behind making progress. And so now you have all the objections as to why somebody hasn't signed on. And then all the positive emotions that are associated with actually getting better. And like, oh, I get to play with my kids. And all this shit that like in the day-to-day, we more than likely never would have thought about, right? And so those are actually like, rather than just like multiple prompts, that's the story prompt we end up with. And so it's very well kick out like these very defined instances for us, for clients, where we're now able to truly understand actual pain points, actual objections, actual like wants and desires, right? And all the objections that came along with that.
Cool.
Still trying to find this thing, but anyway.
I've been waiting for you to pull it up this whole time.
It's like, God, Christian and I had like 1,000 messages back and forth like after I dropped it. So I'm like,
cool. Jordan, you had a question. Do you have any time frame for the Slack integration? The beta will definitely be done by next week, meaning like people will be able to message it from Slack itself. How advanced does this integration get? I don't know. So it's not going to be done for a long time and probably constantly improving, but you'll be able to message in there by next week.
Yeah,
for sure.
Define your final prompts. If you have your final prompts, like this is the shit that we use every day, all day. I only use the Slack automations for stuff that's collaborative, right? Like if I need to see other people involved in the mix, or then other people need to see my response, then it goes in Slack. Otherwise, it is a ClickUp task. ClickUp is the same logic, and this is the ClickUp flow because it's exactly the same thing. Sorry, my mouse is so weird. Once you have your defined logic, right, you insert your preloaded prompt without the variables, right? So like without the pain point, without the he versus she, whatever. Like in a perfect world, right? We onboard a new e-com client, we onboard a new client, whatever, a new funnel is requested, a new email is requested. Once that task is preloaded into ClickUp, it should fire a Zap that will automatically send it to GPT, fire all the prompts in line, and pass it back into ClickUp and mark it done. That's perfect world scenario, is that we don't actually do these tasks. We only make sure ClickUp did it right, or GPT did it right. And so for all of your reoccurring low equity tasks, right, where it's like high bandwidth, but low equity, and this includes short form copy, product descriptions, all the stuff that we all know, it should be fed into here. And you should have like 10 open tasks, subtasks, whatever. And so as soon as this request hits your plate on the morning, or a new client is onboarded or whatever, the automation fires, you now automatically have 10 pieces of creative, 10 headlines, 10 summaries, 10 of all of the things. This includes Dolly image prompts. So like we can do all sorts of mockups. It's like, that's how, at least we're planning on getting this to fire. As soon as we onboard a client, all the tasks are already done and we just connect the dots.
Cool. Steven, that was sick, man. Thank you so much. And I'm excited to actually implement this without causing a disaster in our company. Cool.